Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating cinematic journey into the very architecture of reality. We're going to explore how your internal mental landscape, your thoughts, your beliefs, and where you actually direct your attention, literally shapes the external world you experience every single day. So let's get into it. I want you to take a second and really think about this. How much of your reality is actually chosen? Are you just a passive observer, kind of watching your life happen to you? Or are you the active architect of your own destiny, making deliberate choices that build the world you inhabit? Well, the foundational idea we're looking at today is pretty simple but incredibly profound. Life is fundamentally shaped by what we choose to notice. Building a satisfying life means actively engaging with our circumstances, not just passively absorbing whatever comes our way. It's all about deciding what we want to focus on, because ultimately, what we focus on defines our entire experience. Which brings us to our first core concept, the force of thought, and how it's the absolute starting point for action. Look at the stark contrast between these two mental states. On one hand, you've got a wandering mind. It's drifting. Think of it like doom scrolling on your phone. It just makes you anxious and reactive to whatever pops up. But then you have directed attention, which is focused, constructive, and totally purposeful. Taking charge of that wandering mind, that's your crucial first step. When we do that, we actually allow our mental energy to work in our favor, actively seeking out opportunities that align with our goals instead of getting bogged down in dread or anxiety. Now, if thoughts are just these fleeting sparks of energy, what happens when those sparks catch fire and become permanent? It brings up a really fascinating question. How do our beliefs actually influence our decisions? Let's explore that in our next section, the power of belief, or what we can call the quiet architecture of our lives. You can really think of beliefs as operating completely in the background, constantly dictating what we notice and, honestly, what we feel is even possible to achieve. They set the invisible boundaries of our reality. But where do they come from? Well, we all have what we call absorbed beliefs. These are ideas we just inherit unthinkingly. Maybe a fear of failure passed down from a parent, or arbitrary standards of success dictated by culture. But on the flip side, we have examined convictions. These are beliefs we've actively tested against our own personal experiences. I highly recommend auditing your inherited beliefs. Seriously, letting go of a belief that just doesn't hold up under honest scrutiny isn't a loss at all. It's a vital, absolutely necessary revision to your life's blueprint. So, once we get a handle on our beliefs, we have to look at how they interact with the physical world. Just think about this for a second. How can two people witness the exact same event at the exact same time, but walk away with completely different understandings of what just happened? The answer lies right here in our third section, perception and choice, and how choosing your lens changes everything. Perception is the critical interface where our internal beliefs meet the external world. It acts like a lens, literally filtering reality through our personal history, our expectations, and even our current mood. You are always looking through a lens. The real trick is realizing you have the power to choose which lens you use. And when our reality falls short of our expectations, you basically have two valid approaches. You can aim for incremental change, tweaking your budget to save a little more, just nudging a workable situation closer to your ideal, or you can seek fresh outcomes. That means stepping way back to design a completely new path, like changing careers entirely because the current one is unworkable. Remember, change is a constant force. You either engage with it deliberately, or you're going to get dragged along by it. But here's the catch. To engage with change deliberately, we absolutely need focus. So what occurs when we lose our grip on that focus amidst all the rush and noise of daily life? What actually happens when our attention gets scattered in a dozen different directions? That leads us straight into our fourth concept, the immense value of attention, and why it is the true currency of time. We so often treat time as if it's this limitless resource, but it is deeply, deeply finite. It's the true, non-refundable cost of anything we wish to build or experience. Have you ever noticed how a totally routine week just vanishes, but a few days on a brand new vacation feel like an entire month? It's amazing. The subjective experience of time can be beautifully influenced. Familiar, repetitive routines literally compress time in our memory. It just slips away. But when you deliberately introduce variety, new experiences, and pay full undivided attention to the present moment, it actually expands your sense of time. You can make your life feel substantially richer simply by paying attention to it. However,
As we all know, our attention is constantly under attack these days, which brings up a very modern, very pressing dilemma. Why do misinformation and manipulation spread so incredibly easily in our society? Who or what is constantly battling for your focus?
Let's unpack that in our fifth section, navigating noise and finding truth in a crowded world. We live in an age of unbelievable public noise. To protect the mental architecture we've been building here, we have to learn how to navigate this crowded space. Genuine facts are rigid. A true account stays consistent because, well, it's anchored to reality. Falsehoods, on the other hand, are incredibly flexible. Fabricated accounts can be constantly adjusted, tailored, and bent to flatter our existing beliefs and biases. And that is exactly why lies often travel so fast. They're custom designed to be easily swallowed, whereas the truth often requires us to chew on some pretty uncomfortable realities.
So, how do we actually separate fact from manipulation? Here are 3 super clear, actionable safeguards you can use right now. First, verify information independently. Do not just accept something because it's being repeated loudly. Second, remain highly skeptical of messages that seem designed primarily to provoke an emotional reaction from you. And third, always ask, what motive lies behind this claim? Who actually stands to gain if I believe this? Now, beyond protecting our beliefs, we also have to fiercely protect our daily resources. I want you to pause for a second and honestly reflect. Where does your daily energy actually go? And even more importantly, who is consuming it?
It's absolutely crucial to protect your energy. You can do this by declining unreasonable small demands early, way before they become entrenched habits that just drain your day. Try to periodically review how your daily energy is being spent. And here's a great technique. In difficult conversations or really stressful environments, actively visualize a calm, steady emotional boundary around yourself. Imagine it as a buffer that filters out hostility so you don't absorb it. You need to reserve your energy for your own personal intentions. When we successfully protect our energy and our focus, we open up space for something truly incredible. We finally move past just everyday survival and start looking toward the future. So, what role does imagination play in actually creating new possibilities for our lives? That brings us to our final section, imagination and possibility, and facing that fork in the road. Imagination is literally the ultimate tool for designing a fresh outcome. Think of every significant decision as a fork in the road. Stepping back from our daily autopilot to actively envision the unchosen paths, those big what-ifs, really sharpens the clarity of the decisions we make next. Imagination isn't magic. It's the practical mechanism of noticing opportunities that match a clearly defined goal. Let's bring all of this together into a powerful, cascading reflection. Notice how beautifully this flows. The micro spark of a thought directly influences your deeper beliefs. Those beliefs then dictate the choices you feel are even possible. From there, those choices generate the real-world experiences you live through. Where you direct your attention within those experiences determines what grows. And finally, your imagination expands the possibility of what you can build tomorrow. It's a continuous, powerful loop. And it proves that your awareness, your intentional thinking, and your careful attention can significantly influence the entire direction and quality of your life. Which leaves us with one final provocative thought to end on today. If you are the architect and your thoughts, beliefs, and attention are your primary tools, what reality will you design next? Thanks so much for exploring this explainer with me today. Stay curious, stay intentional, and start building.